evening and welcome to News Watch this 16th of November 2020. Thank you so much for joining us for the latest updates. My name is Tony Omondi and our sign language interpreter is Boniface Murithi. Let's begin our bulletin tonight with our top story. Now, the Education Ministry has announced the 2021 education calendar that will see all learners report back to school on January 4th. Education CS Professor George Magoha released the calendar following President Uhuru Kenyatta's directive to reopen schools in 2021. Magoha's directive applies to PP1 and PP2 learners, grade 1, 2 and 3 pupils, classes 5, 6 and 7, and Form 1, 2 and 3 learners. Magoha addressed the media in Nairobi after a stakeholders meeting where he assured the country that the government is determined to ensure a safe reopening and learning of all schools based on lessons drawn from the partial reopening of schools. Our reporter Alice Diana begins our bulletin tonight with this report.
Following President Uhuru Kenyatta's directive that the Ministry of Education, in consultation with all stakeholders, should inform Kenyans on the dates for resumption of studies within 14 days during his State of the Nation address on Thursday last week, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has released a new education calendar. The CS announced that the full resumption of learning of all learners in all basic education learning institutions will begin on January 4th, 2021. Schools in the country were ordered to close on March 15th by President Uhuru Kenyatta, soon after the first case of coronavirus was confirmed in the country. Grade 4 learners, Class 8 and Form 4 students resumed their classes on October 12th this year in the first reopening of learning institutions. In-person learning for the remaining classes will now resume on January 4th, with the term expected to end on 19th March 2021.
All learners except Class 8 and Form 4 candidates will proceed for a 7-week holiday to allow for KCPE and KCSE examination administration and marking.
Speaking after meeting education stakeholders at the KICD in Nairobi, Magoha said grade 4 learners under the competency-based curriculum will transition to grade 5 in July 2021. KCPE candidates are scheduled to have their rehearsals on Friday, the 19th of March, with examinations set to kick off on Monday 22nd, while KCSE candidates are scheduled to sit for their examinations beginning the 19th of March 2021.
I wish to assure the country that the government is determined to ensure a safe reopening and learning of our schools. In doing so, we are drawing important lessons from the partial reopening that has taken place since October. We are confident that we will remain on the right trajectory to finding the winning formula that will ensure our learning institutions are safe for our learners and teachers.
The Teacher Service Commission, through its Chief Executive Officer Nancy Macharia, has since urged teachers to employ innovative measures to ensure that the curriculum is covered fully, teachers aged 58 and above and those with underlying conditions being asked to stay at home ahead of full schools reopening, as this will help protect them from the risk of COVID-19 infections. This even as Nancy Macharia revealed that TSC has negotiated with the Teachers Medical Scheme provider to have teachers covered for COVID-19 related illnesses.
*202*07# has been set up to assist teachers report to the scheme provider any suspected or confirmed COVID cases to enable them receive care and support in the fastest way possible.
For Hope TV News Watch, I'm Alice Diana.
Deputy President William Ruto now says the country is headed to a lose-lose outcome from the Building Bridges Initiative, BBI, unless hardline position taken by some of those steering the process is relaxed. He regretted that the costly 2-year project had turned out to be highly controversial and with so many glaring gaps after ODM leader Raila Odinga's remarks that there will be no further amendments to the document except a few editorial works to incorporate views of some communities such as the pastoralist community. Dr. Ruto spoke at his current residence in Nairobi County, where he met members of the County Assembly of Wajir, led by its majority leader Mohamud Gabane and minority leader Abdi Hussein.
As we talk today, COVID-19 is ravaging the country. there are hardly any beds, ICU beds, available in the country. We have many people who are dying unreported in rural areas. There are so many people who cannot afford to go to hospital, and yet we are focused in politics instead of being focused on the health crisis that faces our country. It is important for us as a country, and I am urging leaders across Kenya today, for once, for all of us to be united so that we can face the real risk and challenge that face our country in the corona pandemic. We need to harness, mobilize every resource, material, financial, human, to stop the coronavirus from destroying our livelihoods, our businesses, and killing our people.
We, the leadership of this, of Wajir County, when you see the majority leader here, the minority leader here, the whips, the entire elected members of the county assembly, you know where Wajir is going to be. We know that there are few national leaders from Wajir who have said some few issues about BBI and Sabot and what. But I will assure you that should not scare you. Where somebody has been a lion yesterday or the day before, or alikuwa mtu ya hivi, sisi tunasema we are energetic grassroots leaders who are ready to support you on the issue of BBI if what you have told them will not be taken care of.
Ile maneno inaendelea saa hizi ya BBI. The Constitution of Kenya belongs, Article 1 says that the Constitution of the sovereign power of the Constitution belongs to the people. And here it is, some few cartels are saying that the changing of this Constitution is going to be within the vicinity only and not accommodating the ideas of everybody in this country. And they want the same Constitution to be used by the same people whom it belongs to. So I think that one is a very wrong perception. It is good that we have a discussion, and this discussion should be that everybody should be involved. Everybody, whether it is the border man, whether it is the Mamamboga there, their ideas should be inculcated in the change of this Constitution so that they can be well represented.
On the issue of the BBI, I know there are a lot of issues for us, particularly from the Assans. I know you have realized a number of our members of parliament have already gone into that Volkswagen, but for ourselves, we are yet to go into that fold. We will make the decision at the right time and the right decision for the people of Wajir.
Meanwhile, a lobby group in Kitui County has poked holes in some proposals in the Building Bridges Initiative BBI report. Dubbed the Kitui Professionals Caucus, the group dissented to the proposed expansion of the executive ostensibly to achieve an all-inclusive top leadership. Speaking at a Kitui hotel, the opinion leaders said that creating positions for a prime minister and 2 deputies will not solve the problems bedeviling the country, but rather escalate them.
The report has proposed the creation of a prime minister and 2 deputies. To whose advantage, that's the question we're asking, to whose advantage are these extra positions at the executive, if not for the political expediency? The issue of budget allocation to run 3 additional extra positions is a necessary burden to Kenyans. You know, already we have serious financial challenges. One major one is the debt burden that we have. Right now, our debt burden is to the tune of 7.1 trillion, almost going to the ceiling of 9 trillion, which is what was passed by Parliament. So when we say that we are going to add 3 positions, and then we are borrowing money to run this country, are we saying we are borrowing money to pay salaries for extra positions that we are creating? This is a big burden to Kenyans. Our county is vast. with large population density. Therefore, it deserves extra constituencies and even divided into 2 counties. During the BBI validation and discussions in the town halls, we did, as Kitui County, propose that our county needs to be split into 2, so that we have 2 counties, Mwingi County and the larger Kitui.
Let's look at the COVID-19 situation in the country. Kenya has recorded 559 new coronavirus cases in the last 24 hours after testing a sample size of 3,074. This raises the country's total number of infections to 70,804. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe, while giving the daily coronavirus update, said 18 more patients have succumbed to the virus over the last 24 hours, raising the country's fatality to 1,287. At the same time, 478 patients have recovered from the virus, with 337 coming from the home-based care program, while 141 patients were discharged from the various hospitals across the country. Looking at the top 10 counties in today's cases, Nairobi leads with 278, followed by Meru with 82, Kilifi 41, Mombasa 41, Kiambu 27, Machakos 16, Uasin Gishu 15, Kajiado 9, Isiolo 8, and Nyeri 6. Health CS Mutahi Kagwe has also directed county national emergency response committees on COVID-19, co-chaired by governors and county commissioners, to hold emergency meetings and immediately start considering county-specific measures to curtail the spread of the virus in respective counties. Over 2,000 healthcare workers have so far been infected by the coronavirus, with at least 15 nurses and 7 doctors succumbing to the virus. Alfred Obengo, the president of the National Nurses Association of Kenya, says the medical fraternity is in a somber mood as he calls for dialogue to ensure concerns raised by healthcare workers who are in the front line in the fight against COVID-19 are addressed to avert the looming doctors' strike. His notice was issued on Sunday by the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentist Union, KMPDU. Our current affairs reporter Dickens Levanda tells us more.
When the coronavirus, which has now penetrated to the community level, struck the country in March this year, the government, through the Ministry of Health, clarified that it was inevitable that some healthcare workers will get infected with the COVID-19, but infection was not a death sentence, emphasizing that one stood a good chance of recovering from the virus.
When you talk about government quarantine,
the government also reiterated its commitment to protecting all its frontline healthcare workers by providing them with the necessary equipment to protect themselves as they went about their duties. But this has not been the case if what healthcare workers unions officials are saying is anything to go by, and already
our lives as frontline soldiers is our constitutional right.
They have issued a 21-day strike notice effective November 15th as they urge the government to urgently outline a strategy that will see healthcare workers saved from the virus.
It is never the solution to have a labor industrial action in a healthcare setup. We want to pray that all those issues that have been brought forth by the leadership, my colleagues in the healthcare industry, we can sit on a table and iron them out amicably without disrupting the services to the wananchi.
By September this year, a total of 945 healthcare workers had been infected with the virus, whereas 16 of them succumbed to the virus across 35 counties in the country. This number has almost doubled as of November 16, 2020, with at least 2,000 healthcare workers having been infected with the virus and at least 22 succumbing to it. Of the 22, 15 are nurses, while 7 are doctors. According to the National Nurses Association of Kenya, the second wave of the virus posing as a threat to the healthcare system.
The entire workforce is in a very somber mood. It's a very emotive period and moment for us. As we are standing here and those who are seated, we are having over 2,000 health workers having been infected. We have about 15 nurses whom we've lost from COVID and 7 doctors.
The Kenyatta University Teaching, Referral and Research Hospital, which is in Nairobi County, has been at the forefront of the fight against COVID-19 in the country after it was gazetted as a primary treatment and isolation facility in March 2020.
So the trend is on an upward trajectory, and it seems COVID-19 cases are going high, and obviously that will mean that the need for PPEs is very, very critical.
The ultra-modern 650-bed capacity state-of-the-art facility has been playing its role in helping the government's fight against the pandemic by providing space and expertise to combat the spread of the disease, with more than 400 beds and a 24-bed ICU set aside for COVID-19 patients.
We have 72 patients who are COVID positive, who are already admitted. We also have others who are in critical care, and we also receive patients who are suspects who have not been tested yet and are waiting tests to be done within the facility. We have not lost a single staff from our facility, but we have lost a few healthcare workers who came for treatment here, who were healthcare workers in another facility. But as an institution, we have been very lucky in that we have not lost a single staff.
In an effort to assist healthcare workers at the facility in the fight against the virus, Equity Bank, in partnership with the COVID-19 Fund, on Monday donated to the hospital PPEs worth 3 million shillings, this being a fourth consignment to the facility, with the staff being optimistic of not coming in contact with the virus in line of duty. The Kenyatta University Teaching, Research and Referral Hospital is one of the top facilities in the country that is accommodating COVID-19 patients. The facility is already recording a surge in the number of COVID-19 patients due to the increasing number of COVID-19 cases in the country. Dickens Ulvanda, Hope TV News Watch in Nairobi County.
Away from that now, matatu operators in Nakuru County have threatened to resume operations in the CBD over 7 months after they were banned from operating in the town centre. Through their leaders, the operators claim they have obtained a court order allowing them to resume operations within the town centre pending the hearing and determination of a case between them and the county government over relocation to an alternative terminus. The county governor, Lee Kinyanjui, has since dismissed the operators, saying his office had not received any court order and the county government will therefore proceed with the construction of the new bus park. Patrobo Joang reports.
A showdown looms between public transport service vehicles operators in Nakuru and the county government after the operators vowed to resume their operations in the CBD. Citing an alleged court order allowing them to return to the CBD, the operator's chairman, Steve Muli, said the court order was served to the county attorney last week and therefore came into effect immediately, and that a breach of the order is tantamount to contempt of court. The court order also restrains the county government of Nakuru from establishing a new terminus along the Nakuru Railways grounds, according to the operators, claims Governor Lee Kinyanjui dismisses.
Watu wanaumia wakitafuta magari na sisi ndio tunabeba mzigo, sisi ni kanisa. Wakiwa wagonjwa ni sisi tunatibu. Kwa hivyo tuna uchungu na tunaomba tukisema magari yarudi, shuttles zirudi, prestige irudi.
Muli was speaking at a Thanksgiving service at Metro Church International Nakuru, where he noted that matatu operators and members of the public relying on PSV are going through suffering. 10 months after the county government reallocated the bus terminus, a move Governor Lee Kinyanjui said was meant to decongest the town amid the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the operators, this has cost them business losses, depression and reduced quality of life. Nakuru Town Service Chairman Joseph Njoroge lamented the deplorable state of the current terminus, saying they had put operators out of business as passengers avoid the terminus due to lack of water and toilets and due to its distance from the central business district.
Sisi kama wafanyabiashara ya matatu tuliweza kupewa oda ya kurudi kazini wetu. Na tunataka aelewe ya kwamba sisi sio wale tulikipatia oda. Na yeye ana ruhusa ya kuweza kusema ya kwamba oda yetu ni fake. yeye sio afanye kazi kotini, na sisi tunaamini ya kwamba ile hoda tulimpewa kutoka kotini ni halali na inaturuhusu kufanya kazi.
On his part, the chairman of Nakuru Hawkers Association, Simon Sankale, accused the county government of Nakuru of being insensitive to small businesses in Nakuru town, depending on the matatu sub-sector.
Tumehangaika sana kuanzia March mpaka mahali tumefika, miezi 8 tumehangaika, hatujafanya kazi. Tumeweza kusukuma huko msituni, watu wetu wananyeshewa huku, watu wetu wanateshekea huku. Hakuna gavana hawezi kuona kama hiyo anatesa watu. Sisi hatutakubali jambo lingine lolote, sababu tuko na haki ya kusikizwa na kufanya kazi yetu.
Police in the county are now trying to establish the authenticity of the alleged court order that officials widely distributed among members and residents last Friday. Trouble Juan, Hope TV Newswatch.
With that report, let's take a short commercial break. Still have more for you. We'll be back.
Welcome to Rafiki Gardens along Kangondo Road by Optiven. This is an ideal and affordable piece of investment that is strategically placed within the Nairobi metropolis. Rafiki Gardens is close to key social amenities like schools, banks and shopping malls. This project comes with ready title deeds, Maram roads and a marking fence round the property. Get a plot at only 695,000 Kenya shillings cash price. You can also pay a 50% deposit and pay the rest in 6 months installments. Call us today on 0702 8310 83 or visit www.optiven.co.ke.
Is anyone immune to this virus?
We haven't seen the virus in the world before, which means none of us had been exposed to it.
Women tend to have more UTIs than men.
By the time a man is getting a urinary tract symptom, there is a problem.
With live doctors in studio, you get increased information on how to improve and better your health.
Gladys Nyanchoka is asking what causes nose blockage early in the morning?
Prevention, early intervention, treatment and management of different medical conditions.
Noise in the ear is very, very common. It's known as tinnitus.
There is a condition that we call fibromyalgia.
Thank you for calling in today. What's your question?
I've been having a problem with my toe.
Yeah.
Tune in for Health Check every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on Hope TV, where you look and live.
Welcome back. This is Hope TV News. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta has urged parties to the ongoing internal conflicts in Ethiopia to find peaceful means to end the crisis. The president cautioned against a full-blown conflict in the country, saying Kenya and Ethiopia have for long served as anchor states for regional peace and stability. He's urged the federal government and the Tigrayan People's Liberation Front, TPLF, to de-escalate the conflict, saying the crisis risks eroding gains made by Ethiopians in developing their country. The president spoke on Monday evening at State House, Nairobi, during a meeting with Ethiopia's Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs, Demek Mekonnen, who paid him a courtesy visit. The Deputy Prime Minister also delivered a special message to President Uhuru Kenyatta from Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and briefed the head of state on the political and security situation in Ethiopia. While acknowledging the internal efforts being made to end the conflict, President Kenyatta urged the warring parties to prioritize humanitarian needs of local populations by opening up corridors for essential supplies. The president was accompanied to the meeting by Foreign Affairs CS Rachel Omamo, her CS Ababu Namwamba, and Head of Public Service Dr. Joseph Kinyua. The Orange Democratic Movement ODM party flag bearer for the Msambweni parliamentary by-election slated for December 15th, Omar Boga, says he will revive the tourism sector if elected. Boga, who was addressing women groups at Kibundani area of Ukunda ward, underscored the need to support local tourism to benefit residents. At least 11 candidates are expected to contest for the Msambweni parliamentary seat that went vacant following the death of area MP Suleiman Dori in March. This is the first time Boga resumed his Meet the People tours since he tested positive for COVID-19 2 weeks ago.
Utalii umerudi chini kwa sababu ya mambo mawili. Utalii Kenya, utalii umerudi chini, lakini Diani umerudi chini zaidi kwa sababu kulingana na estimates zamani 1997 tulikuwa tukipata watalii milioni 3. Wakateremka kwa sababu ya Kayabombo, wakaenda chini. Wakarudi chini kwa sababu ya Mlungunipa. Wakarudi chini kwa sababu ya Al-Shabaab. Sasa wamerudi chini kwa sababu ya corona. Kwa hivyo tunahitaji kiongozi ambaye ana hekima na busara, ambaye ana experience ya mambo ya utalii. Turegeshe hoteli zetu, sasa zimebaki 5, tuziregeshe kule 30.
Now, as the country continues to bear the brunt of a second wave of COVID-19, several organizations have come out to support Kenyans facing harsh economic times during the pandemic. CBN Operation Blessing, a religious organization, has donated foodstuffs and other household items to Mukuru Kwanjenga slum residents in Nairobi who are left jobless during the pandemic period. Our reporter Mark Kimondo has this story.
The COVID-19 pandemic has shaped the lives of thousands around the country, with the new rules enforced by the government to fight the global killer now remaining a symbol of the new normal that was never predicted. Kenya is among African countries carrying the bulk of COVID-19 caseload in the continent, amid warnings from health experts that laxity in the enforcement of public health regulations could trigger an ugly situation. Now, with a consistent spike in infections and deaths resulting from the disease, the government was forced to re-escalate measures to curb the spread. However, many slum dwellers are still bearing the brunt of a second wave of the deadly virus. But amid these uncertain and challenging times, several organizations have been chipping in to support the vulnerable in many ways. CBN Operation Blessing is among organizations that have been responding to the plight of the needy during these trying times. The organization has come to grace the needy residents of Mukuru slums with food and other basic donations. This is just a section of Mukuru Kwanjenga slum residents. They are braving the chilly weather in hope that they will take home a package of food donation. But there is a process to be followed here, with everyone expected to abide by the rules and regulations of the Ministry of Health before receiving the donation. Some even with the little children, not afraid of the drizzle which might sicken their young ones. Most of them are saying that in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, affording food has remained a great challenge, as most of them were left jobless.
Tumekuwa tukiwa na shida nyingi sana, hasa sana wakati huu wa ugonjwa wa corona. Wengi tumepoteza makazi, hatukuwa na kitu cha kula hata kwa nyumba.
Tulikuwa na njaa sana, corona imetupeleka sana. Hasa tumeshukuru wenye wametuletea hizi vitu sana.
Njaa iko mingi na magonjwa iko mingi. Mimi mwenyewe ni mgonjwa, hata mtoto mmoja na yeye ni mgonjwa. Hakuna namna iko kwa nyumba wanatufukuza kila wakati.
The likes of Jacqueline Mwende can now breathe a sigh of relief as the food package she has received from CBN Operation Blessing will cushion her albeit for a limited time.
Nimefurahia sana na hii chakula. Juu hii corona imekuja ikatuharibia kila kitu yote. Hata mtu anaamuka anaenda anatafuta chakula anakosa.
Over 200 people were able to receive food, with CBN Operation Blessing Regional Coordinator Ann Kasombo terming the move as one of the greatest food distribution programs ever conducted by her team since COVID-19 struck the country.
This was among the biggest group that we have given food to, 268 in this area of Mukuru, South B area, And we really thank God for each one of you. Thank you for this.
Mukuru Kwanjanga residents are, however, appealing for more assistance during this period of time.
Budget ambayo mmetupatia hii inatusaidia hata siku 2-3 za kula jamii yetu na familia yetu.
Nimefurahi sana sana sana, hata siwezi kusema. Ni Mungu anaweza jua kwa roho yangu.
The World Health Organization has been reporting on how the second wave of COVID-19 is surging in different countries, warning if people won't take personal initiative to the prevention of the virus, then the situation will get more devastating. Mark Kimundo for Hope TV, Nairobi.
The Meru County Government COVID-19 Emergency Response Committee has announced stringent measures that will help curb the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic in Meru. Outlining the new measures, Governor Kiraitu Murungi noted at least 20 people have succumbed to coronavirus in Meru health facilities, while 24 died outside Meru health facilities, bringing the number of COVID-19 deaths to 44. While the county administration is committed to enhance public awareness against the disease, the governor said residents have a primary duty of flattening the curve. However, according to the response team, residents risk 20,000 shillings fine if caught flouting COVID-19 protocols.
This disease should be taken very, very seriously, even by us here in Meru. I know we are relaxed a bit, especially after the economy opened and the people know the disease has gone away. But as a matter of fact, it has increased. The total number of people who have died of COVID here in Meru, in our facilities, there are 20. But out of these 20, 6 have died in the last 2 weeks, in the last 14 days. So which means every 2 days, one person is dying. So this is an alarming rate, and we should not be concerned about it. So that's why we call this meeting of the Meru County COVID Response Committee to re-emphasize the need for us to obey the protocols as directed by the President. We know some bars are not closing. They close the doors, but the customers continue inside, some until 3 hours of the morning. Now the enforcement team is going to strictly enforce to make sure that all the bars are closed by 9 o'clock, and we are working together. Any bar or hotel which is found to be open after 9 o'clock will be closed. And we in the county government will withdraw their operating license. People have relaxed. They are now everywhere, even at midnight. And if you are found outside your home at beyond 10 o'clock at night, the enforcement team will catch up with you. The maximum number of people who can be even in a church function is 200. That's the maximum. At the graveside, only a maximum of 50 people are around. Then it has been noticed that there's a lot of waiting going on in these public gatherings, including in funerals. And when people go to it, they remove the masks, so they're exposed. So you expose yourself, and you're also exposed to others.
All right, Newswatch takes another short commercial break. We'll be back with business and sports news.
Join John Carson every weekday as he takes us on a journey through the Bible.
Whoever shall seek to save his life, if you go back to living for yourself, you're going to lose it. But whoever shall lose his life, give up his life for my sake, he shall preserve it.
Enjoy interesting, knowledge-packed, yet simple teachings through his humor and in-depth understanding of God's Word.
the last people that tried to put God in a box. Literally. He rose again. He wouldn't stay in their compartment. If God was small enough for me to figure out, he wouldn't be big enough for me to worship.
Tune in to Hope TV for John Cousin every 10 p.m., 4 a.m., and 10 a.m. weekdays on Hope TV, where you look and live.
Wake up every morning with refreshing worship playlists. And powerful nuggets of God's Word.
His mercies begin afresh each morning.
We had pressed from every side, but we are not crushed. Right place. We desire to be in the sweet space.
The place of praising, the place of singing lips.
Only on Hope Devotion.
Welcome back to the broadcast. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya has faulted the Senate Sessional Committee on Delegated Legislation and the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries after it rejected the Crops Tea Industry Regulations 2020. Munya said it was unfortunate to see the Senate committees refuse to accede to the regulations, which he said have been subjected to public participation from farmers and other stakeholders and given a clean bill of health. He has asked the Senate to ensure the regulations are passed once they are brought to the floor of the House on Tuesday this week. The two Senate committees declined to accede to the reforms and recommended that Senate annul them in entirety on account that some of the provisions were not in the interest of the counties.
Majani chai ni ya mkulima. Kama kuna mtu ambaye hakutaka hiyo sheria, pengine mtu mmoja mahali, gavana mmoja ama gavana wawili, chai ya kilimo si ya gavana, chai ya kilimo ni ya mkulima. Na si ya minister. Chai si ya minister. Kwa hivyo kama wakulima wenyewe walisema, na tulisunguka huku kote wakisema hiyo sheria ni sawa, kwa nini kamati ya bunge aanze kusema hiyo sheria si sawa? Kwa hivyo tunawasii wale maseneta ambao wanatoka kwa eneo ya kulima chai wahakikishe Tuesday wiki ijayo hiyo sheria imepita na sisi tumeanza kuitekeleza, ndio mkulima wa chai pia pesa ianze kuongezeka kwa mfuko. How do you explain a situation where, for example, Germany is the leading coffee exporter and they don't have a single farm? Italy the same. They export coffee. Why? Because they buy coffee from here, go hand value, produce more products, and then sell back. If you go to our supermarkets, even today, you'll find a lot of coffee that is coming back to be sold in our supermarkets from Europe.
Absa Bank Kenya PLC has unveiled the first phase of a refurbished mangrove boardwalk in Kwale, repaired using poles and planks made from plastic waste generated during the bank's brand transition to Absa. The bank collaborated with Lona Ruto of EcoPost Limited in the recycling project that reprocessed over 3 tons of plastic waste from its rebranding project, which consisted mainly of brand signage. The project was executed in partnership with Bay's Titanium. The broadwalk is run by Gazi Women Group, a community-based organization located in the south coast of Kenya at Gazi Bay, Kwale County.
I'm greatly honored to be here today as we launch the first phase of the refurbished Gazi Women Mangrove Boardwalk. over and above the functional significance that it holds to the community that we can see here, this boardwalk is now a tie that binds ABSA and the community.
Ecotourism is one of the targets ambayo serikali inaona inaweza saidia wananchi wakikaribiana na environment, wakifanya kazi ya environment. Mapato ambayo inaweza tokea ni kuuza products ambayo inatoka, singine ni kuitekea biashara kama ecotourism ambao sisi tunafanya sasa in our strategic plan 2018-2022. Tuna document ecotourism potentials ambayo iko katika Kenya hii ambayo inaweza kuletea watu mambo ya mapato bila kuharibu environment.
Watu waje tufanye kazi pamoja kwa sababu this journey you cannot be able to walk by yourself. It needs communities to come together. It needs private companies to come together. It needs the government to come to the table, civil society, all the stakeholders. We need to come together to collaborate so that we can be able to achieve the targets that the national government has put, the targets that we are looking to achieve by 2030.
Watu wanaiba mikoko, wanaoba kufanya uharibifu katika daraja. That's why tukafanya community forest association, tukapata kulinda, tukasaidiana na forest tulinde mikoko yetu.
Tumetumia plastiki ambazo zinakadiriwa tani 21. Zimeweza kutengeneza mbao ambazo mmeona, tumeweza kufadhili, tukapata mtu ambaye anaweza watengenezea. Tuna uhakika itawasaidia kwa sababu ya utalii wa ndani kwa ndani.
And Equity Group Chief Executive Officer CEO Dr. James Mwangi says inclusive capitalism will make the world a better place. Speaking at the Greener and Fairer Challenging the Reforming Capitalism Conference, Dr. Mwangi noted that the reform of capitalism needs to be the one that creates opportunity for the larger group of people. Dr. Mwangi also stated that learning from the pandemic experience presents an opportune moment to restructure the systems in order to emerge above capitalism.
One of the outcomes is like build afresh, build better, a better world, and build it with the objective of solving the challenges that are before us. And then we can give flexibility on the how. The flexibility that will accommodate diversity should be on the how, but we together agree on the outcomes, such that the objective and the outcomes are standard, but how each country approaches and executes to achieve objective is flexible so that it accommodates the diversity that we have in the world. But I strongly advocate that all of us then get committed to building better the world that we all wish.
Human being can do anything they want. If you make up our mind, we can do it. Nothing is impossible for human being. So if you want to create a world of 3-0, 0 net carbon emission and 0 wealth concentration and 0 unemployment, it's our decision. We can make it because we know how to make it happen. Why the world is like this? We know exactly why this global warming is happening. It's nothing secret. It's a very open thing. It's written everywhere. All the information is there. Who is contributing to this global warming? We know exactly who is contributing how much.
It's very, very difficult, and it's always a question of where do you start and who should be the one starting it. And I think this is really part of what I understand is the mission or the vision of the Paris Peace Forum. I've heard Pascal Lamy say it. He talks about plurilateral governance, so that it can't just be the government. It has to be a kind of all the stakeholders in the society, including private sector, including CSO, including citizens, including communities. So I think taking into account the diversity of every country's situation is hugely important, but that we should always probably look at the glass half full. We have to look for opportunities where change can happen, and then try to build the coalition around that purpose to start making things happen.
And to some sports news now. Kenya's Harambee Stars lost 2-1 to Comoro Sunday evening to leave their quest of gracing the 2022 African Cup of Nations finals to be hosted in Cameroon hanging by the thread. Elsewhere, Liverpool forward Sadio Mane scored the winner for Senegal against Guinea-Bissau to book their place at the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations finals, becoming the second team to qualify for the showpiece. This and more in our sports roundup with Joseph Maingi.
Nabuhane gave the host the lead in the 21st minute before Cliff Nyakea hauled in Kenya's even in the 36th minute, but Faiz Motor restored the host lead barely a minute after the breather in what turned out to be the winner. The outcome means Kenya must garner maximum points in the two remaining matches against Egypt and Togo and hope that the other matches go its way to have a remote possibility of making it into the showpiece. Comoros now top the group with 8 points, with Egypt coming in second with 5 points, and Kenya lies third with 3 points, while Togo are bottom with 1 point. Elsewhere, Sadio Mane scored in the 82nd minute after George Naguela was sent off in the second half for Guinea-Bissau. Senegal, who are currently ranked top in the FIFA ranking in the continent, becomes the second team to qualify after the host Cameroon. On to some UEFA League of Nations qualifiers, and England's hope to qualify for the Nations League finals were ended by a defeat against Belgium in Leuven. Leicester City Yuli Telemann opened the scoring 10 minutes after his 20-yard shot was actually deflected, and Dyer Martinez doubled the lead 13 minutes later with a superb free kick. Elsewhere, Liverpool midfielder Jorginho Wijnaldum scored twice in a comfortable victory for the Netherlands against Bosnia-Herzegovina in the Nations League group match. That's your sports. Do have a blessed evening. I'm Joseph Maingi.
Well, that's where we close for tonight. Thank you so much for keeping us company. I'm Tony Omondi, and our sign language interpreter has been Boniface Murithi. Have a good night and God bless you.